All right, guys, so welcome back to the Hurt Handbook, and it's a bit of a special episode today. Obviously, we put this in the beginning. Rest in peace to Stephan Bonnar. That was pretty rough to see. 45 years old, one of the pioneers of the UFC. We'll get into him a little bit later, as well as like another part of UFC news. But first and foremost, we have a pretty big announcement, I guess, in terms of this channel, and basically we have secured our friend TIZ a boxing match in Cash Money Promotions. And obviously, anybody who's been watching this channel for a little bit knows Shane because we did the documentary with him back in August. Check that out. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, so we obviously saw, I guess, like the makings of like this event coming together. And we kind of just had the idea that maybe this could be like something that we could do. And it started off as a grappling match, but I don't know if you kind of want to get into it like a little more, because like basically the way it worked is like I kind of negotiated it and then obviously asked you like what you were okay with and what you were trying to get done. So if you kind of want to get into your side of it more.
So shout out to Shane first of all for what he's doing with the whole Cash Money Promotions thing. It's pretty cool. I respect it, and now yours truly is gonna be a part of it on this card in the ring. What, like you just said, started out as a grappling match at 140, but
No, it was a
45.
No, 150 actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, because we couldn't get an opponent for it was 45. I think we're looking for.
Right.
And so the boxing match gets offered to me, which I didn't even really think. Like I wasn't thinking about an MMA fight or a boxing match, but lo and behold, gets offered to me like we can get you something at 140. I'm like, all right. I mean, let's see. Like, all right. There were a few things I had to play into it, and like, cause obviously, like seven in there, like you can't give me somebody that at least like I think has at least like already already experienced it with like winning a boxing match feels like. So like I thought that was you're right. Like that was pretty fair. And then find a guy who's already competed. Then what is it? His one fight he's had. And
he did lose his one fight in Cash Money Promotions, so he's not exactly like the most experienced opponent. So it's good because like the big thing is here too. Like we're not trying to like cheat the system at all. Like this isn't meant to be like a joke or like really like hilarious. Like we're really gonna try and do this by the book, get you like as much help as possible, help like with us obviously, and yeah, like we're gonna document the process. That'll be a whole thing on the channel too. We'll probably have like a few videos making into a little series, and Tiz is gonna be going through like as real of a fight camp as we can really give him. He's gonna be training his ass off. Like this isn't a joke. Like you're going in there and boxing, and it's gonna be interesting. That's for sure. And we're glad we got Tiz, an opponent like who is more like obviously like on your level. We're not putting Tiz in there against Floyd Mayweather. Obviously, that would go bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it personally. Obviously,
I know I am. Yeah, this is something that not necessarily the boxing match I'll say, but it is something like you think about, and it's like obviously shadow boxing and room in your room by yourself and stuff. It's like I can get in there and get down with somebody, but yeah, no, like I work out. When I do go to the gym, I work out pretty hard, and I'm trying. Yeah, I try to keep myself in some pretty good shape, and now we're taking it to another level now. They're taking the Hurt Handbook to another level now,
yeah.
And that's pretty much all there is to it.
I bet when me and you started this, you didn't think that you would be the first Hurt Handbook fighter, someone who's gonna be repping the gear and like the podcast and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. I mean, like I said, we're not taking shortcuts here, and I know that. You're gonna tailor like your workouts more towards this, and we're gonna see what happens. Obviously, it's a big deal. Like, this is gonna be a big deal, and it'll be on March 11th. And I believe it's their 5th event. I'm probably gonna put the poster in the video, so you guys will probably see it, or I'll just like list it. But this is gonna be fun. You know, I'm excited for it. So we got like a few months to train for it, probably about like 10 weeks in total. So, you know, especially once the new year hits, it's gonna be full steam ahead with that. And I don't know if you have anything more that you want to say, like, before we kind of like wrap it up, because obviously, you know, no UFC this week, so this pod is really big about announcing this big series that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's pretty much all there is to it. Like, it's still very early on, so it's still a while away. But yeah, 2023 is gonna start out with a bang, and yeah, I'm looking to get. All I know is that, you know, this is the only result that matters. My hand is raised at the end, and I'm going to bring it on home for this channel right here. So, let's do it. Shout out Shane once again.
For sure.
This is pretty cool. So
Yeah, and I personally want to say, like, thanks to Shane, too, because, you know, for, like, the past, like, week, we've been pretty much just going back and forth about, like, different things and, you know, how we can do this the best possible way, safest possible way, because, you know, obviously you are not a pro fighter, but
it's fun because what I think what I was actually trying when I was meaning, like, wasn't expecting to be boxing, but, like, you know, when it comes to, like, grappling, wrestling, and all that, I think I can comfortably say, like, you know, I'm more, like, enamored with that, and, like, I think it would fare, like, I just fare better in that, but no, like, you know, that's okay with me. Like, I'm ready for the boxing grind, and, you know, like, now I'm just gonna have to hurt somebody instead, so that's perfectly fine with me. I'm ready for it. I'm excited, and yeah, we're gonna get this thing right.
Well, that's awesome, man, and obviously we're really excited about this. This is going to be a interesting next few months, and we can't wait to bring you guys on the journey too, and, you know, to the fight, during the fight, and hopefully some of you guys come out when the fight happens.
Like, yeah, like grappling, I just have, like, more of a nose for, but, like, boxing, I'm excited to just, like, because there's, like, a lot I can pick up with, like, you know, just straight, like, boxing, you know, technique and skill and all that, you know, even, like, beyond, like, just straight training for, you know, any boxing match, if you're actually going to take it seriously, like, just even beyond the fight you're training for, like, you know, it could, like, you know, prep you for, like a bunch of things in life or whatever. So, like, yeah, like, you know, I'm definitely gonna be going. I'm all in, and yeah, I hope my opponent is too.
He's gonna need it. He's gonna need to be. So I guess that'll be where we leave that for today. But I guess the only other things, like, we were really going to talk about, and this is going to be a shorter pod, obviously, because there's not much really news going on with Christmas time, and obviously hope you guys had a good Christmas if you celebrate.
We have breaking news anyway, so.
Exactly. See, when there's no news in the UFC world, we're gonna bring our own news. So it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. But
there's no other fights going, so I'm gonna be fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God that this card is not going to be as expensive for anybody as the UFC is going to be in 2023.
Oh, God.
Which I think is, like, a perfect transition. So I don't know
that was perfect.
If anybody has seen this, but the UFC pay-per-view price is now being raised. I think it's $5 more to $79.99, and that is just absolutely ridiculous, man. Like, it's turned into boxing. I just don't like it, dude. Like, and do you believe? I'll start with this. Do you think that Dana is, like, being truthful when he says that it's all ESPN?
No, I don't. How is it? I mean, how is it not, like, is Dana not the one putting in this call to raise it?
Yeah, like that. Well, he's always has claimed, like, anytime someone asks him about it, that it's ESPN's call solely and he has nothing to do with it. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just find that hard to believe. Like, maybe, like, because it might have been in the contract, so maybe he just says, like, by that, we have nothing to do with it. Like, that's just what we agreed to, $5 pay or increase every single year. But, like, my whole thing is, like, at least on the one hand, it technically benefits the fighters because the champions on pay-per-views, they get pay-per-view points for every buy. So the more money that it is, the more, like, of a percentage that you're going to get, pretty much. So it's good that, hopefully they'll be getting more money. But on the other hand, though, I'm worried that it's going to cause like more streaming and stuff like that. As if that's not enough of like a big thing already. It's just going to get even worse because, $80, like I said, it's turning into boxing. And boxing, I think, is still kind of worse because they'll be like 100 sometimes for like 3 fights. And the UFC has given you 5 to 6 good fights for less money, which I'll always be down for. But I don't know, man. It's always bad to see an increase in price in anything. And the UFC, it just sucks because it's going to be even more expensive to follow in 2023 if you're not obviously streaming it. But the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about on this pod was obviously mentioned it in the beginning, the untimely death of Stephan Bonnar. And it really, dude, is it just me or we've been talking about UFC fighters, legends dying too young this past few months? Because, first was Elias Theodoro in his 30s, and then Anthony Johnson, and now this, it really sucks. It feels like it's just all happening very fast. And Stephan Bonnar was 45. He, I believe they said it was because of heart failure. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed or not, but it just sucks. 45 is too young for anybody, but for those of you guys who don't know, because he's obviously an older part of the UFC, if it wasn't for Stephan Bonnar, we wouldn't even be here talking about the UFC right now because the UFC probably wouldn't even still exist. And that reasoning being, we obviously had the Talkin' Tough series back when Tough 30 was happening. And for those of you guys who don't realize that, there are obviously 29 other seasons. And season 1 back in I think it was 2004. So this is way before our time even. And the show itself basically saved the UFC. And the reason why it did that is because the 2 finalists for light heavyweight was Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonnar. And for those of you guys who haven't seen that fight, find it somewhere, check it out because it'll be one of the best fights you'll ever watch. And him and Forrest Griffin pretty much saved the promotion with that fight. I mean, you've seen that fight obviously too. Everybody who's a fan has. And I believe they had something over 10 million viewers, I think, at the time when it was being broadcasted, which at the time is nuts. People were just calling each other apparently, just being like, hey, you guys got Spike on seeing this fight. And the thing is, about the UFC at this point, they were losing so much money, millions and millions, and they were pretty much going right towards the bankruptcy. And when this fight happened, Spike gave them a new deal right off the bat, and that gave them their first huge TV deal, which basically saved the promotion. And obviously, Stephan Bonnar lost the fight versus Forrest Griffin, one of the closest fights you'll see. But Dana gave both of them the contract, obviously, to go in the UFC. And Stephan Bonnar had a pretty good run himself. But I don't know, what was your first reaction, when you saw this? Because, I was watching, a TV show, and I wasn't really on my, phone much. And then first thing I go on Instagram, and I saw that, and I was like, jeez, man.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't, too many thoughts about it. It sucks. You wish it didn't happen. Obviously, after you just mentioned Theodoro and Rumble Johnson, it's tough. You hate seeing these are guys that very important people to the sport, and it's really unfortunate when they're not here anymore, because you always feel too there's so much more left to be done from them too. I'm pretty sure if I'm not Rumble. Was Rumble already in another? Wasn't Rumble already in another promotion?
Yeah, he was in Bellator. He had the one fight where he won by knockout, and then I think I want to say he was slated to fight Yoel Romero or Nemkov, one of the two. And that fight didn't go through because Rumble was sick, and obviously, that went the way it went. And Stephan Bonnar, obviously, he's had some rough patches after the UFC, which sucks. You don't wish bad things on anybody, and it's just for him to be gone at the young age of 45 from heart failure, I think it was, of all things. It just sucks to see. And he's fought so many legends. He has wins over Mean Keith Jardine, he's fought John Jones, Mark Coleman. A lot of the guys that he's beaten are older names, so I don't want to go into too many of them. But
so even beyond fighting, there's so much more left to do just in life for these guys. And obviously having them having families and stuff, like our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And yeah, rest in peace. Thank you, Elias Theodoro. Thank you, Anthony Rumble Johnson. Thank you, Stephan Bonnar, for what you guys did
I think
for
you
the
could
sport
argue
that we love.
I think you could argue almost the biggest thank you for Stephan Bonnar, because like I said, like if it wasn't for that fight with Forrest Griffin, we wouldn't even be here talking about the UFC.
Seriously.
So like he's someone who played an integral role at keeping the promotion alive, and like hopefully, I don't know, hopefully like all these things in 2023 like lead the UFC to maybe promote the older days more, because they don't really do it as much. But I think that some of these guys like back in the older days, like before Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey, that, they deserve love, man.
Yeah, it's good to keep people, just like educated, like people, coming in and whatnot. 'Cause you see, like now, even now, like the US, they have no problem putting, together like these like classic matchups of guys that have been around for a while that, either have already fought each other or just, haven't crossed paths until like, now, which is unfortunate because you'd obviously rather see them fight each other during their primes, but it's better late than never. So so if a new fan's coming in and watching, they might know the name but not too much about like the impact they actually had in UFC. So,
and Stephan Bonnar was one of those people who had like one of the biggest impacts that you'll ever see, and like even Dana thanked him on social media and stuff, and you see all these fighters talking about him, and yeah, I mean, it's just rough to see. But I guess with that, there wasn't really much other news. I mean, actually, there was one thing that was booked that was cool to me. It was God, who is it? It was Rose Namajunas versus Jillian Robertson. They're going to be the main event of the next Fury grappling card on Fight Pass. I'm pretty hyped for that. That's on like the 30th, and then obviously Bellator Rising is on New Year's Eve. So that cross promotion will be cool. We'll figure out obviously what we're going to do there, because obviously this week has been with the holidays and all that, it's hectic, and obviously booking this boxing match that's going to be huge. Again, shout out to Shane and Cash Money Promotions, and TIZ, I bet you're ready to put a hurting on somebody in March.
Yeah, and the more I think about it and stuff, the more zoned in, locked in I get into like just the thought of just being in there, like envision, like more just thinking about all the possible outcomes and stuff. I think that's important for a fight, any kind of fight, obviously, like what can go wrong, what can go right, obviously. So I obviously have those scenarios playing in my head, but I'm trying the main big thing about what I love why I love fighting so much is like more like guys with styles and stuff, but guys that like can keep their opponent on their toes, like keep you guessing and stuff, like just trying not to be one dimensional and stuff, predictable, just more having like I guess like a plan B too, almost like, so you obviously go into a fight hoping your one game plan executes, but once again, like I just said before, you got to run the scenarios of like what can go right and what can go wrong. So if something does go wrong, you have something to fall back on. So that's definitely I'm trying to play the mental aspect as much as possible too. So but we still got a ways to go, and I got a lot of work to do. So we got a lot of work to do.
Oh, for sure.
Along with everybody else involved. So
it's gonna be a big thing, and
you guys are gonna see it. You guys are gonna see it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. No corners will be cut here. It's gonna be an interesting camp, that's for sure. And we hope that you guys can learn something, and just enjoy the series obviously as much as possible, because it's going to be enjoyable for us. Well, maybe not for you during camp as much, because it's going to be a fucking grind. But besides that, not really much else going on. We'll give you guys more updates on this as time goes on, and on the series and all that. But until next time, guys, we'll see you.